Girls Gone Wild with Thando Mthonti on Trans Africa Radio.
Wild, we bring you a wonderful interview. This is one I personally requested, so it was not put on me. And I specifically asked for it because I wanted to have a candid conversation. So if you're thinking of a topic, if you're wondering what Cikida and I will be talking about, don't. This will be a very candid conversation that you can have, and I hope that wherever you are listening to this, you can relate. And if you're wondering who Cikida Gcali, and I hope I say that correctly, is, well, first of all, she's the founder of The Money Fam. Now, this is the blog that I subscribe to and I read religiously, and it really is one of those blogs that are very informative, and her writing is it's kind of relatable, right? So it's not like academic writing that's going to make your brain sore, but it is informative, and I thoroughly enjoy it. But also, she's a petroleum engineering master's graduate, and she's also a Fulbright scholar. And if you're wondering what that is, Google it. I don't know how you cannot know what it is. But without further ado, good evening, Cikida.
Hi, Thando.
How are you?
I'm awesome.
So I've been sliding into Cikida's DMs for a minute. I think the first time I did, she was still in the States, and I've been trying to get her in studio because I really felt like she was definitely the kind of person that I want to have on Girls Gone Wild, and you'll soon find out why that's the case. It'll come. You'll definitely be able to kind of get the picture before 7 o'clock when we conclude our interview. So let me know, how was your weekend?
My weekend was amazing. Like, absolutely.
What did you do?
Well, yesterday I went to do some TLC, get my hair done, get my nails done. And so today I went to church. So that was a nice, relaxed weekend.
And you have just come back from the States. It hasn't been long since you've been back. Let's talk about you leaving the University of Witwatersrand and going to the States and going on a Fulbright scholarship and going in the STEM direction, right? What was that like? How did that even come together? Where did you even get the audacity to apply?
I know, right?
Yeah.
it was so random because I was studying chemical engineering at Wits, right? And so the Fulbright people came, and when they did come, I had already been thinking that I want to be in this oil and gas space. You know, I had been attending conferences hosted by Wits Business School, and I was like, this is something I really want to do, you know, oil and gas. But it was like, what's the next right step, right? And so I got the email of Fulbright, and they said, okay, you can study for free in America. And America was having their whole shale gas boom, and I was like, yeah. So I saw the email and I was like, yeah. And then I attended the info day, and all the requirements were just like exactly what I could, do. And then, I applied, and, was on YouTube looking at how to be successful in Fulbright, and, Bob's your uncle. The rest is history.
And so, I mean, you kind of react to lots of aspects of being. I'll call them that. You're a black girl. You're a black African girl, like born and bred in South Africa, and you don't necessarily come off as somebody who grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. But here you are, and you're in the States. And what does that even mean to you? What is going through your mind? You arrive, you're studying, you're in lectures, and it's really happening. It's happening to you. What does that mean?
Wow, I didn't actually think of it that way.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you imagine something as being greater when it's not your reality. But when it becomes your reality, you sort of like live in the moment and try to be the best you can be in that moment. So I think for me, it was a moment of wow when I was actually on the plane that, okay, I'm actually doing this. Before then, I didn't take it to my head. And all my friends were like, really, you're doing this? And my family, and I was like, yeah, like
it makes sense.
Going to
the next
study,
step.
like it's the next step. People do this. And then it only hit me like, I think like 2 months in that, wow, this is what I actually did. I disrupted my life and I moved to another country. So I think it was a realization of the privilege that I had in order to study, to expose myself, to open myself up to a world and to be globally competitive. I think that's a big thing, to say, yes, I'm young, black and female, and yes, I don't come from, the richest family in the world, but here I am coming from the background that I come from, and I can do this, and I can do this with a child from China who's always had it good, and I can beat them at their asses.
Yeah.
It's possible. Yeah. So I think for me it was just the honor and the privilege, and to say that if more of us Africans could travel, if more of us Africans could put ourselves in spaces where we have to compete with people from overseas, then let's do it.
Yeah.
Because we can. We absolutely can.
Yeah. And outside of the master's degree, outside of actually getting the qualification, which is a big deal on its own, when you got back on the plane and you were coming home, how had you changed? Cikida before leaving and Cikida coming home. What was the biggest shift in your life?
Wow, there's so many levels of change in my whole stratosphere. But anyways, I think the biggest shift was my mindset. That was the biggest shift, because when I left there confident. I left to go to the US confident that okay, I can do it, and also thinking that a bit like I was. I'm not gonna say I was arrogant, but I was a bit.
Like I got this.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
And when I came back with a level of humility that didn't come from being disgraced, but that came from realizing how much I didn't know.
Oh wow!
And I had lunch with a friend the other time, and she said that when you finish doing something on one level and you move on to the next, it's one on the next level. So you finished 20 and you're on 21 now, so you're on one on the next level. And I think there's a humility you need when you are at one at the next level in every stage of your life.
Yeah.
And so when I finished my degree, I realized that coming back to South Africa would be one on the next level. And I didn't realize that when I had left, that every new stage of your life needs a certain level of humility because you don't know what you don't know. And you need to open yourself up to learning, applying and working to gain to the next level, to finish that stage and get to the one on the other level.
Yeah.
So I think that was the biggest shift for me, my mindset. The way I think now and the way I thought then are just like completely different.
Yeah. And so you're in America and you start the Money Fam. What is this called? What is the Money Fam? For those people who don't know, and I'm judging you, I'm like shaking my head. What is the Money Fam? In fact, the day that you started there, you opened your laptop and you're like, look, I'm starting this thing. Why? Why the Money Fam? And what is it for those people who don't know?
Okay, so before I left the US, I actually started the whole money blogging thing because I graduated from the US and then I worked first for consulting before leaving to the US. I worked for 8 months, and during that time, I made like certain investment decisions that weren't familiar to like my friends weren't doing the same thing I was doing with my money, and they were like, okay, it's like, where do you get this money mindset? Because I'd been reading on money forever, and I started investing like when I was like 18.
Oh, that is incredible!
Like
whoa,
I've always been into like investing in Robert Kiyosaki. I even had the board game of Robert Kiyosaki. I was just like into it, girl. So like my friends were like, okay, they were always asking me questions about, okay, we want to buy a car, where do we go? We want to buy property, what do we do? They were always asking me. So I was like, okay, let me start a blog so that you guys can know this, and so I can use it as a vehicle to gain more information, because as young professionals we are not always raised with our parents feeding financial
100%.
Education down our throat, and it's a conversation I was having to my sister where she said she's not financially savvy as I am, and I said, I don't blame you. We live in a culture where if you buy a depreciating asset, what do people say? Congratulations.
Yeah.
You buy a handbag that's not going to add any value, you say, oh, good girl, Snapchat and like hashtag blessed, but it's not necessarily financially right. So I started the blog for that, and then when I moved to the States, I thought I would like shut it down because I thought it's just a South African problem. And so my friends from different parts of the world were actually reading my stuff and were like, this is actually good, you should scale this and not just make this for South African market. And so that's why I created the Money Fam, where it could actually be open to millennials in any part of the world, because I realized how similar we are and how similar the struggles we go through with money are actually.
And how frugal are you?
Oh, I'm very frugal. In fact, this past weekend, my dad said I'm stingy.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not that stingy. It just doesn't make sense to buy that. So I'm quiet. And even my best friend this weekend, 3 people said I'm frugal this weekend actually, and I was just like, I'm not that bad. I am quite frugal, but I think it's paid off. Like if you can see the why in your head of why it is that I'm this frugal, it actually really pays off. And I like being happy, guys. I like freedom.
Yeah.
I don't want bank.
Sitting,
stress. I don't like it.
So what are some of the decisions that you make in your daily life that a typical millennial wouldn't make because they're just not financially savvy?
Okay, so I'd make the one that's like the biggest thing about my car right now. You know, it's like the big discussion at home. Everybody is telling me to buy a new car because my car doesn't suit my status. Because I'm a master's graduate now. I have to have a car that's pimping, and I don't want to buy a new car because the car I have, I bought it cash. You know, so I have no installments. I'm happy, and I only pay like $400 for petrol a week. I'm so happy. But everybody in my world is like, I need a car that has, you know. So I think it's one of those things where I opted to buy property first before I bought a car. And when I did buy a car, I saved and I bought it cash, you know. So for me, it makes sense to opt for like an investment decision more than a decision where the value long term is just not going to add up. So I think that's one of the biggest ones in my life that I'm dealing with.
So how do you pick your lipstick? Which I think is very tricky because there's a brand that sells lipstick for $320 and I'm like, no, I don't care what you say, I won't do it. I won't do it. Okay?
Oh my gosh.
How do you pick your lipstick?
Okay, lipstick, my sister taught me because she's the makeup savvy person in our family. So she taught me that you never go cheap on makeup.
Okay.
So, I just stick to MAC.
Okay. It just is what it is.
I just stick to MAC.
Yeah. And so now I want to go back to you being in gas, for you, petroleum engineering. Okay. STEM in South Africa, we're struggling. Okay, we just are. We're struggling from grassroots levels, like literally from grade 1 maths right through to matric. And by the time we get to university, we're lagging behind. The numbers are not there. The results are not there. When you came home, was that bothering you that there's so many people who look like you, who sound like you, who are just never going to get the opportunity because the standards are just so low?
It bothers me.
Yeah,
absolutely bothers me. And it's something I took up that a friend of mine actually, when we came back, we wanted to launch a campaign with the Fulbright people, and we had interviews on Kaya and whatnot, and we're just doing a mini roadshow to actually just make awareness on something like a Fulbright, because we realized that young people do need an incentive, and sometimes they do need a face that represents what they can become, that looks like them, and I think that's why it was so important for me, because I was anti-building my brand because of this master's, and I was like, okay, everybody gets a master's, but it's like, okay, not everybody in your gender, in your race, from your economic background actually gets it, and so it really does anger me, because I think STEM opens so many doors in so many places in the world. It's one of those things that our country needs in order to develop, and also the type of business people we need business people that are innovating, that are doing things, that are creating things. I mean, we've got an energy crisis in Africa as a whole. We've got crises in construction, in infrastructure, in all these heavy industries that need engineering, that need mathematicians, that need people that are going to be in technology, So if we don't have those skills, then how are we going to build this? It's going to be international companies coming into our country, building these things for us, and we just being the BEE partner in a tender.
And then we'll call it neo-colonialism, and then we'll protest and tweet and go in, right?
Oh, you get it, girl. We're just angry on Twitter. That's the thing. It's just a lot of our young black people, we're very vocal about our struggles, which is great, but it can't end there. We can't just say we have a STEM crisis and you are not pushing your maths, you as a person, or we say we've got an energy crisis and you as a young person are not trying to study anything in that field, So I think it's okay for us to be vocal and to tweet about these things. These discussions have to be had, but let's do something, guys. Like, let's not just talk and tweet and trend and then not do anything about it. And I think there's a lot of that in South Africa, where we talk more than we actually do. We need to be doers.
And talking about South African youth, what frustrates you the most about us? And I'm going to be very, very. I'm not going to exclude myself from this. What gets to you the most about where we are right now? Having an international view of the world, right? And of course, you haven't been everywhere, so with what you know best at this moment, where do you think we should be thinking that we're just not?
I think the lack of long-term thinking is what is my biggest frustration. I think a lot of us had this misconception, and I'm going to get a bit politically, that after apartheid, that things are supposed to be handed to us because of what we went through, right? And I understand why BEE was formed, and I understand those structures and what they were intended to create. But for me, as a person born in 92, who didn't necessarily experience apartheid the way my parents did, I see freedom in the new democracy as an opportunity for me to be able to work as hard as Gerard did 20 years ago for my worth. Something my parents, I think I had a post one time and I said it was never my grandmother's dream that she could be living the life that I'm living because she just didn't have the opportunity. She just wasn't allowed to even think
about it. Exactly.
It was just, you are black, you're female, forget, you know. And we have that opportunity now. And realizing that we have the opportunity, a lot of us aren't putting in the work in the level that we should be. You know, we still have, I'm not gonna say we're not working as hard as we should be because in the States, man, the millennials, they work. They work. And I think that's why a lot of people used to ask me, how are you doing your master's in petroleum engineering? And then you're part of like a student investment fund and you're running the money fund. How are you doing all of this? I'm like, guys, people here work.
I mean, I think I was telling someone about that, and I said, I mean, we have a friend from the States and she said to me, girl, I work 3 jobs. Exactly. And I was like, you work 3 jobs?
Exactly.
What do you mean? She's like, I have to work 3. I just have to. Like, it just is what it is. Like, nobody's going to give you a pat on the back because you are working 3 jobs.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And that's probably a culture that we just, we don't have it. And it could be because, well, the jobs just aren't really there. But it could also be because we don't create the jobs.
We don't create the jobs.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I think that's what I'm saying. It's that long-term thinking that they have. They think, okay, it's fine if I'm struggling and I'm 25. It's okay. It's my age to struggle, right? So they'll scale back. A lot of the millennials, they are very frugal. So when I got there, I found my homies. I was like,
we're doing this!
I mean, I had my one friend. He was a chemical engineer. He was driving an old ass beat up car. He was sharing a room with his friends and he was investing like crazy. And he was like, he had a really good job and he was starting a side business because he's thinking in the next 10 years, where should I be? You know, another millennial that I actually interviewed for the blog in Silicon Valley. He works for Google. He takes frugal to another level. He decided to live in a truck because he said he's not going to pay $2,000 for rent for a place he hardly sleeps in. And by the time I interviewed him, I was 23. He was the same age as me. He had already saved about $100,000.
Oh my God.
That's like over $1 million. That he saved just from his lifestyle, you know? So I think they have that trade-off thing where trading off short-term gains for long-term prosperity, they have it. They see themselves at 27, they still think they're young. At 27, we think you're old at 27.
It's like, where are the children? Where are your children?
Where's the house? Where's the car? And that rushing mentality actually makes us incur more debt than we actually can. Exactly. So now you've got a bond, you've got a car payment, and you have no time to actually say, do I need all of this at this age? You know, I'm 27, I've still got 10 years ahead of me before I'm like 37. I've got 13 years ahead of me before I'm 40. And I'm 40, I'm still very young, you know? You look at also Gary Vaynerchuk, he's always telling 20-year-olds, you are young. He says, I'm 42 and I feel like I'm just getting started. So I think the mindset shift of time and of making trade-offs
and
for
gratification.
Gratification. They have it, man. Even this other lady that I really look up to living in New York, you know, like even the discussions we used to have about how she's pacing herself. When you see her, you think she's very simple, but she's going to tell you the property she has, and you're like, girl,
how did you?
And you know, and it's a different story this side where somebody looks really put together, but when you look at the back end of what they have and their net worth and whatever, and where they're going to be in 10 years time, and now they're studying, it's like they're not really growing. You know, they're not putting in the effort in investing in themselves financially, emotionally, education wise. And we stopped studying at 23, most of us, right? Masters is a rare thing. PhD, oh my gosh, forget. You know, whereas in the States, you have a lot of doctors that are just saying, I had a guy, he had a PhD and he was doing another master's. I was like, why? Why so much education? You know? But it's that constant growth thing, that constant, let's innovate, let me grow myself. Okay, I've got a master's in this, but this is what I want to focus on now. This is how I want to grow. This is how I want to develop. In 10 years, this is where I want to see myself, and I'm making that sacrifice now. So I think we need to have that as young South Africans. We need to make certain trade-offs and really start pushing and investing in ourselves and making those sacrifices. They won't be nice, but they will pay off.
And now, so you're in STEM, but I mean, with the money fam and you being part of the investment fund at your university, you there's that whole finance thing, right? And you didn't do a finance qualification at all, but you're managing to literally have feet in 2 industries. How are you even juggling the 2? Or does it feel like juggling?
No. It doesn't feel like juggling.
Okay.
It feels really natural to me. And I think I say this in most in conversations that I have when people ask me this, it says, for me, it's all wealth, because STEM, like the biggest industries that actually create wealth are in STEM, right? Construction, oil and gas, and all those things. Silicon Valley, this technology, right? So, the biggest industries are like tech, oil and gas. Those have like the biggest market capitalization, and they're in STEM, right? And so they are businesses. So what do you need to run a business? Finance, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So even when I was in my finance class, I wasn't any less of an engineer running that fund.
100%.
I thought like an engineer, problem solver. I thought like an oil and gas person, saying, okay, stay away from these energy stocks. This is what this company is going through. So if you buy that stock now, it's going to sink in the next couple of months. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Or do this, do that, So it's the same type of thinking that you need. And yeah, like I don't see myself juggling. I think all these things come together. It's all wealth.
Alrighty, so you can send through your questions to Cikida on +27792544329. That's our WhatsApp line. Please send through your voice notes, your text, absolutely anything you'd like to ask her. Also on Twitter at TransAfrica872 at Thando_Mthonti Umwelazo Muhle there. I'm bringing you Lady Zama with My Baby, and then when we come back, more with Cikida.
This is Trans Africa Radio.
And I've invited you to send through your text, your messages, whatever it is, +27792544329. You ask a question, we'll answer it. It really does work that easily. We won't screen it. There's no somebody in the background who's going to, we'll just go. So feel free to send through anything that you'd like to send through. I'm glad that we've spoken quite a lot about you and everything that you do. And it's very obvious that you know a lot, right, about what you know about, if that makes sense. How is that? How do men find you?
I had a story. I had a story about this like 2 weeks ago.
Okay, yeah.
On my Instagram about the I word.
Yes, the I word.
The I word, intimidating.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, So I've gotten the I word thrown at me like a couple of times. So yeah, it is what it is, man.
What intimidates them the most? Is it your level of education? Is it the fact that you're not looking for affirmation? So you don't come off as somebody who's desperate. What is it? Is it, do you have a resting bitch face? What is it about them that makes you feel like? Well, I haven't picked it up. Okay.
maybe it's the face.
What is it about them that makes them feel like this one? She's a tough one.
I think it's knowing what I know.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because it's what my sister says, and my mom also. Because I asked my parents, or like my close circle of people that I know will always tell me the truth. I come from a home where they just don't tell me the truth. I know for me. So my mom says it's the thing of, like, because I read a lot and I'm always like thirsty for knowledge, it's very easy for me to like correct you.
Okay.
No, that's not how you spell that. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes with the other sex and ego, it can get in the way. So I think that's the main thing. Like, if a person is not very self-confident in who they are, they can easily be intimidated by my aggressive nature, because I'm not gonna hold back, bro. If you're wrong, you're wrong.
And I think I'm the same. I've been told. Actually, the other day my boss called me aggressive. I was like, whew.
Yeah, I've been called aggressive.
I find him aggressive. So the fact that he finds me aggressive blows my whole mind. It really, really does blow my mind. And so this is very interesting. So when you're, let me phrase it like this. So you're in a setting and a guy approaches you, right? And you guys have a kind of conversation. He doesn't know what you do. He doesn't know anything about you, right? How soon do they pick up that this one? She's the, what do they call the ungeste? Yeah, she's a markenas. That's the word.
Oh my god, this is actually a game I play. Right?
Okay.
So if I'm interested in you, I'll just play. I'll just be human. I won't say anything. I'll just be like, oh no, who are you? Okay, what do you do? I'll just say, oh no, I'll just generalize it. Oh no, I just studied in J.
Yeah.
I'll just generalize it. I'll just play it down and I'll see how it goes. But if I'm not interested in you, I'll just
I'm
be
coming.
Like, I will come and then run. So
it works.
And then, like, I've done it on a couple of occasions. So okay, let me play this game. If I'm not really interested, let me just be hard and just be like, oh no, this is what I do. This is where I come from. Da.
Yeah.
And then they take the number and they never call it. I'm like,
it worked. It worked. Are you worried?
I'm not. Hey, I'm not. I think. I've worked so hard to become the person that I am, to achieve everything that I've achieved, and not just materially, but also internally, the person that I am spiritually, because I think you go through a process to achieve anything. the right way.
Yeah. Okay.
The right
Yeah.
way. You go through an internal process of betting against yourself
Yeah.
and
Conflict.
speaking against
Yeah.
yourself. It's inner conflict,
Yeah.
you know, especially as a woman. You are in a male-dominated environment. You have to walk in the mirror. I literally, when I was in Tulsa, in America, I used to wake up in the morning, look at myself in the mirror and give myself pep talks every morning. I used to listen to TD Jakes like nothing.
Yeah. Okay. I still do.
I still do motivational talks. You know, like if life knocks you down, try to land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. You know, I used to do those things. I need it, because the thing is, it's taken me such a process to believe that I can be there, number one, and to actually have that inner conflict and push through that inner conflict to achieve what I've achieved. You know, it's taken a lot internally. Like even when I landed home and I said to my parents, I just need a sabbatical. I'm tired inside. I defended my thesis and I just really I'm tired inside. I'm finished. I'm drained. I needed to just take a 2-month break doing nothing to regain that inner strength. Achieving stuff and being whoever you want to be, achieving your dreams is taxing. It takes a lot
Emotionally,
from you
mentally,
inside.
spiritually.
Yeah, spiritually. So to get to that point and be worried about if the other sex is going to receive that or not is like, guys.
Yeah,
like,
come on. Don't discount your life.
No, after all that I'm not worried.
Let's talk about your spiritual journey. And I ask this first of all because, I mean, it's a fact, as a millennial, I know for a fact that, first of all, university feels nice on the outside, but it's actually a very, like you said, emotionally taxing place. Depression comes. It just comes, you know. And you think you're strong until you're just like, but I'm not okay.
You're not.
You know, I'm not okay.
Not okay.
You know, and it's like so many people back home are expecting me to make the pots while I'm here.
You get it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So what did you even? Were you walking? Was it yoga? What was it? What was your thing?
Prayer.
Yeah?
Hey, like prayer. Like you know that I'm not okay. It happened when I was like in one of these classes. Like I was sitting in a class, and I was just about to write my reservoir engineering. And reservoir engineering, guys, is so hard. And I was just about to write my reservoir engineering exam, and I just said, I'm not okay. Like I literally said those words out loud, and I was just like, I'm literally not okay. Because I mean, it takes a thing. Okay, it's one thing to study, right? It's another thing to study like thousands and thousands kilometers away from home.
Yeah.
It's another thing when you have no support structure. I knew nobody in like the whole of America. I came in there not knowing,
aunts, no cousin,
nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I met them there. Basically,
Yeah.
I met the family that I left. I met there. So you don't have an anchor. You don't have anything. You don't have people that understand you. And also, it was very racially divisive. You know, I was the only black girl in most of my classes. The only girl in my research group. You know, so only. You have nobody that looks like you, thinks like you, talks like you,
has your
understands
problems.
Mukhodu like you,
understands,
you know,
Yeah.
Amagwinya like you.
Yeah.
You're the only one. So you're alone basically, and you're going through this difficult degree that's hitting you at all sides. And it takes like really a strong faith in God in saying, listen, you would never take me this far to leave me.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to have faith. It's another thing to just only have faith. I only had faith.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't have my faith, I don't know, I wouldn't have made it really. So faith was my lifeline, literally. And so that's why I said I can't be worried when I've gone through such an experience of growth and I've really elevated spiritually to another level where I know who God is face to face, talking to him and say, hey, Muna, it's hard. Muna, make the parts. Muna.
You know, bring me here for nothing.
I've had conversations with God where I'll be like, God, listen, it's not gonna work. I have no plan A, B, C, D. I have nothing. I just have you. If this doesn't work, it's over. And God comes through.
Yeah.
So it was God, guys.
Yeah.
Oh God, no, I'll never leave him.
Yeah, never. I am in.
Jesus. Oh, never.
Yeah. And I mean, it's very, very interesting. I don't know if you know Zuki Siotula. I think she was the CEO of Tebe Capital for a while. And
yes. And she was 30 years old.
Yeah, she was 30.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time I ever heard her speak at an event, she was the first person who I knew to be that successful, who had the guts to stand up in front of people and say, it was God, right? And I remember thinking to myself, whoa, I've heard lots of things. You know, I do yoga. I wake up at 4 and I meditate. And I mean, of course, those things are.
Yeah,
they're there. Do you know what I'm saying? And you can't discount people's experiences.
Absolutely.
So you accept it. But it was the first time that I'd ever heard a successful person really stand up and be like, I'm not gonna lie to you people. Half of the time I sound great and I look great, but I probably had a good cry the night before in prayer, and right now today when I'm standing here, it's not who you think, you know. How have you managed to get through imposter syndrome? Because we all have it. I know we all have it.
We do.
Yeah,
and that's something I really, really struggle with. Imposter syndrome is like my biggest thing. But I think it's that faith in God to say, like I had a conversation with another really good friend of mine last Friday, and she said that, you know, there's this parable in the Bible of the talents where, you know, this master was going away. He gave 1 3, 1 2, and 1 1 of his money, and then one of them hid it, you know. And I think imposter syndrome is taking what you have and hiding it. And then the others invested it and they doubled the returns. And then the master said, the one who hid it is he's a lazy slave, and he said, I'm going to take the one from you and I'm going to give it to the one who had the most, the one who took 5 and made it 10, I think. And then it said, for whoever has, more will be given to them. But whoever like hides, even what they have will be taken away. And so for me, realizing that everything that I do is not for me. It's God's planting. God planted a seed in STEM, in money, in whatever, in me. And it's my responsibility to live it out. And I think when you understand that it's my responsibility to be great, then you don't take greatness as you don't get an ego about it, because you understand it as a calling, not as I'm great. And
then it could be taken away from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's God sent you. It's not yours. It's God's assignment to you. So you're a custodian of everything God has given you. So being a good custodian comes with trusting Him, because He's the one who gave it to you. So He needs to give you the resources to grow it.
Yeah.
Right? So yeah, that's how I see it.
Now, I want to talk a bit about your family life, your parents.
Yeah.
Right? When you look at your childhood, what do you think has been the biggest contributing factor to who you are today?
Okay, so I think my parents are, like, I speak about them a lot. Like, I love my parents.
Yeah.
Like, they're like my best friends. And they're like 40 years older than me. Like, my mom's like 39 years older than me. My dad's like 42 years older than me. And I think because my parents were old, they didn't have time to treat my sister and I like kids, you know?
Okay.
So from a very young age, we could speak up at home. We could say, Dad, you're wrong. Whatever. And we was 10 and we were involved in big decisions at home. Would sit at the table, literally.
Oh, that's amazing.
And my parents would say, we want to do this. What do you guys think? And my dad would say, we're going to tell you guys these things, because if we don't tell you guys, you won't know. And you're going to go on and make these decisions. And it's still the same thing. Like, when I make a big decision, we sit at the table at home and we talk about it, you know? And so that confidence to have, you know, to be involved in decision making, to be bold, it's kind of like something I take into the workplace, everywhere, you know, where people say, you're such a leader. And I'm like, well, I got it from home. At home, I was allowed to raise my hand and ask a question, tell my dad he's wrong, even though he's 42 years older than me. He's a staunch Xhosa man, really? But I can tell him, nah, you're wrong.
Homie,
you know what I'm saying?
Homie,
you're not wrong. And he'll listen to me and he'll say, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry I'm wrong and I hear your point. You know, so because they were older than us, they didn't have time. They were just like, we're tired, bro. We're not going to baby you guys. This is what's going on.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? And, you know, let's roll. And I think I always appreciate that. And they also affirm me in saying, if he's intimidated by you, then let him go. Bring that money, we'll eat it for you.
I have a text here from somebody who didn't give me their name. Guys, please give me your name so that I can, you know, give you a shout out. And they said, hi Thando, please say hi to your guest in studio. So hi, Cikida. Please ask her what her name means. I think it's so beautiful.
Oh, my name means to make perfect. So I got it from my grandmother, my dad's mother, who's still alive. She's 97. She's turning 98 very soon. And she gave me the name Cikida. It means to do something properly, so to search deeply, to go in, be led.
Do you think?
Don't stop.
Do you think you live your name?
I think so. Hey?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah.
Because I can't leave anything surface level. If I do something, I
go in. Yeah,
I go in. So yeah, I think I really appreciate the name, even though most people can't say it.
Yeah. Actually, how do you deal with that? Because the other day, I mean, I'm angry that people can't. My full name is Noluthando.
so
people
easy
call me
to say.
Noluthando. I was like,
Like,
what is
no,
Noluthando?
I saw your face
I was like,
mistake.
where's the
It's
U
like
in
the
my
U.
name? It's the U. It's there. Okay.
Even out.
I appreciate the U in my name.
Yeah.
How do you even deal with that? You went to the States.
Yeah.
And you don't have a second name, né? There's no
no.
Mary. There's no nothing. It is what
No Percival, nothing.
How on earth did you even cope?
No, I just said they should call me C. Like,
Okay.
I'm very easy about it.
Okay.
I don't want people saying Cikida or Cikile or whatever.
Yeah.
Because then it ruins the meaning of my name, and I'm very anal about that.
Okay.
So if you just call me C, it represents Cikida. So it's fine. If
Okay.
people call me C, I'm quite happy.
You're happy with that?
Yeah.
Okay, I would not be happy with that. Actually,
By the way.
I'm very close to somebody who's called Ntanka, and he lets people call him Lucky, and I'm always just like,
No.
Jani Ndoda. He's like, no, I was in grade 3, and the teacher was like, what does your name mean? And I said, Lucky, and he's like, that's what you are. And I'm like, and it's stuck. And it's stuck. I'm just like, oh, Jesus, help me. I said, they colonized your name, and you let them. So let's talk about your future plans. Do you want to be a mom?
Oh, I think I do. Hey? I think I do. Like I absolutely would want to be a mother, especially. Like, yeah, I would.
We're at that age where it's kind of
Yeah.
happening to everyone around us.
I know, right? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
everybody's having kids and
Yeah,
getting
and
married.
getting
you're
married, it's like-
oh, I feel like I'm a baby girl. Like, I feel like I just came out of the womb and everybody's having kids. I don't know. I think I would, but not now. But maybe in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, it would be something I would actually consider. I think right now I'm really focusing on just building the next chapter of my life. And once I've done that successfully according to my definition of what success means, I think then I would say, okay, I think I can introduce somebody into my crazy life.
Into your crazy life. Okay, so you're not even dating?
No, I'm not. It's like, oh my god, like singles out there
Yeah.
that are not intimidated.
Yes.
Holler.
And I'm just gonna jump in there and say you should probably like have your education game like intact, because I don't think that no education is gonna cut it. No, let's be honest. Let's be completely honest. You know what I'm saying? You can't be a master's graduate and be like, no, even if you have a matric, as long as I love you, then it will work.
But I don't necessarily agree with that.
Okay,
you
go
know?
on.
Because I mean, I look at my parents. My dad only had a matric.
Okay.
My mom studied up to master's level. In fact, my mom got a Fulbright scholarship as well.
amazing.
But she didn't take it because she had us.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. I
And
told her
so-
you ruined
yeah,
everything.
Exactly. And then she said, your dad lied to me. He said I can still go study after we get married. And when we got married, he's like, you ain't going nowhere. So you go and you live out the dream I couldn't live out, you know?
Yeah.
So my mom's really educated. And when I look at the balance between the two of them, the aspects that my dad brings into my mom's life and vice versa, I see that, okay, yes, education is important, but in a relationship, it's not the degree that actually makes my mom love my dad.
Yeah.
Or makes my mom be able to cook for my dad, you know? So my dad doesn't say, oh, use that degree to make me tea, you know? And
Yeah.
living together,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
even when I'm home, you know, my degree doesn't play a part. I'm still a daughter. I still, if my parents say, dog, make tea, I make tea.
Yeah.
You know, if to my sister, I'm still just a sister. If she needs a shoulder to cry on and say, dude, this is what I'm going through, I'm not going to use my petroleum engineering degree or say, okay, let me look on my blog and I can find. No,
Yeah.
she's going to need me as a human being, my ear, my compassion, my empathy, you know? So I think that's what actually keeps a relationship together.
Yeah.
It's the ubuena,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, the you, not what you have or what you've achieved.
Yeah.
So I think that's the perspective I have to relationships and to everything. And so that's why I get offended by the I word, because I'm like, you're offended by things that are external to who I really actually am. You know,
100%, yeah.
they have like anybody can get a master's degree, you know, but not everybody can be me. So if you're gonna choose to see that and not see who I actually am, then
You've already lost.
You've already you're lost.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not worried.
and I'd also like to speak about actually your perspective on the African family, right? And that's because you are family oriented, you
Yes.
are close to your
Yes.
what in your mind with, and I always say with the best that you know now, because we're always
Growing and
going,
evolving,
yeah.
yes.
So with the best that you know now, what do you think is the threat to the African family, considering that women are educated, that women are not, I mean, I think your mom was an outlier in her time. Not there's many women from your mom's generation who just didn't even have a degree, yet alone a
Yes,
master's, you know what I'm saying?
absolutely.
So, I mean, with the changing role of women in the home, with in the African family just genuinely being it's a threat. Okay, I
is a
believe
threat.
that it's becoming an
It's a threat.
endangered kind of kind of thing, if I can call it a thing.
It is.
What do you think women more specifically could do differently, if anything at all?
Yeah, I think. Okay, I could speak more on what men could do.
Yeah, no, and
I think
definitely
I'm more
go
passionate about that
Yes,
as a
yes.
feminist.
Yeah.
You know, I think there are differing views. You know, so there's a view that I hear from a lot of married women that being a feminist doesn't actually work in a relationship because you are not equal to your husband. But I have another view that Judy Dlamini holds with her book,
Yes,
that we
I'm
are
actually reading
equal
it
but
now.
we're different. Exactly.
Yeah.
I really want to get a hold of
Yeah.
that book. That we are equal but we're different, and that's what I believe. You know, and that's what I've always believed, and that's what I try to to disseminate in the house. You know, to say that yes, I'm not a man. But it doesn't mean I'm less than a man, you know. So I really believe in the equal but different kind of model. And I think when I went to the West, I went to America, and I saw how equal but different really works for, you know, educated woman with a man who's actually content with himself and who can actually handle your strength and who can actually handle the fact that you've got dreams, that you've got goals, you know, and appreciates them and actually celebrates them and is proud of his wife for doing so many things, you know. I saw couples like that where, you know, the wife is also like very established and the guy is also very established, and they take turns, you know. So they'd say the guy would stay at home. Like there was this guy who was an entrepreneur, and his wife was a doctor, a surgeon, you know. And so because he was an engineer before that, and because he's now an entrepreneur, he said his wife's success actually helped him in sustaining his life while he was building his dream of entrepreneurship.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
because he's an entrepreneur, he's more flexible, so he can stay at home and look after the kids, or not look after the kids per se, but like fetch them and whatnot and administrate the household. And you know, it works well because, you know, she's really working, you know, and he can be there at home for the kids, and her financial success and her success allows him to be able to invest in his dreams. And he didn't see his when I saw that, I was like, wow, you know, and
It can happen.
He sounded very proud of his wife, and for me it was like, this can happen. And I think it's a mindset shift from the male perspective as to saying your wife's strength is not there to diminish yours. So even if I'm strong, it doesn't mean that you're any less of whoever you are.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying? We can appreciate each other in that different kind of dynamic. You know, and if you can see that I'm about you too.
Yeah.
And we can take turns in pushing each other towards achieving what God has given both of us, then let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's be a tag team and partners in crime.
I mean, and I ask this because with all the interviews that I've had on the show, this question comes up a lot.
Yeah.
You have well-established people in
Yeah.
the studio, and people are just like, how? Like, and I think it's with age, this you become anxious
Yeah,
as
it's
a
a
girl.
thing.
You
Yeah,
know,
it's a thing.
with age, you start to wonder, am I too much? Am I, you know,
Should I scale back?
Yeah, and then if I scale back, what are the threats?
Yeah.
Will I hate him? Will I hate myself?
It's a thing.
Yeah,
It's a
it
thing.
really is.
a thing. And I think I was telling my friend when I got back, I said, I feel betrayed by life. Because, you know, everyone when you're young says, do whatever you want to do. So you do whatever you want to
Yeah.
do. Then when you've done whatever you do, they're like, no, not too much.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what does too much mean? You know, and it's those comments, you know, going over to a family event and somebody saying, oh, you're never going to get married because you're too educated for all the men in the country.
Yeah.
Or, you know, it's those things where you said, but you said I must do whatever I want to do. Now I did it. Now you still have a problem. So, you know.
I had an aunt, and I was speaking one day about my studies, and I said, I really want an MBA and I want it before 30. And she said to me, no, mntanami, MBA, you divorce. How come you think my on an MBA, you divorce? And I was like, wait. What do you mean? She's like, mm-mm. She's like, Bill, can you come? What divorce? Divorce? I was like, Jesus. I just really want to
understand you though.
She's like, Tanam, you must think about this very carefully. And it actually did kind of make me worried.
Yeah.
Thought to myself, okay, like, does she have a point or whatever?
Exactly.
And now I'm just like, you know,
Like, just, you know.
if Nick gonna leave, he gonna leave. He gonna go. He's gonna go
anyway.
They ain't nothing I can do about it.
He gonna leave anyway.
It is what it
At
is.
least the MBA won't leave you.
Yeah.
So,
Right?
you know?
And the funny thing is that at the time I didn't really know about that Kanye had gone to Harvard and found love, you know? So I thought to myself, well, if I knew what I know now, I'd be like, no bad.
She did find out.
Even
And
there.
she found it with a Stanford graduate. Buzz.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is that, like, if you read Sheryl Sandberg's Lean In, she says that there are actually more of women who are successful that are married than who aren't. You know, there are. Like, I saw so many of them I saw so many of these women. They were married, they had kids, and you know, there was even like a really successful woman at the place where I'm currently working. And I had a conversation with her, and she said, my husband understands that I'm ambitious, you know? And she says, and I stopped beating myself up for my ambition, you know? I forgave myself. I'm like, listen, I can't always be there for my kids. And I have to forgive myself because my dreams matter too.
Yeah.
And you know, when I had that conversation with her, I had so much peace because I was like, listen, the world needs my dreams. The world needs my ambition. The world needs my problem solving. It needs my voice. It needs my MBA.
Yeah.
You know, there's a place for it.
Yeah.
So for me to diminish the greater impact that I can do for the purpose of my life, just because I'm afraid of, you know, what somebody else that doesn't even exist yet. I'm not married, so why am I worrying about a husband?
Yeah,
that's
the man's not even there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why am I not getting an MBA? You're
Yeah.
worrying about divorce and you're not even married
Yeah,
yet. So
that's true.
it's like, why am I worrying about things that haven't even come? If it comes, it will come and it will be for you. It will fit like a glove. Look at
Yeah.
Michelle Obama.
That's true.
She's making the parts.
Right.
She's a Princeton graduate, double Ivy League, and she married Obama.
Yeah.
You know? So
And
I don't know.
and we just need to say that we know very well that if he had married someone else, he never would have been president. I
Absolutely.
genuinely believe it. I genuinely believe it. Okay.
Can we just put
Yeah,
that out
yeah.
there?
I'm throwing this out there. He never would have been president if he had married somebody else. It had to be her. It could only be her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Cikida, what are you scared of? Are you scared of anything?
Whew. I think my biggest fear. Is sure. Wow. I am scared of things. I think my biggest fear is vulnerability. I think that is
Okay.
my biggest fear.
All right.
I think opening up to somebody or anybody, like just being vulnerable about whatever it is that I'm going through, is a big fear for me for some reason, you know. So I am one of those, if I go through something, I go through it alone, and then I come out saying, yeah, 5 steps to challenging this.
Okay. Article. We're going.
That's me.
Yeah.
That's me. And I think if I can learn how to embrace my darker side, my failures, if I can learn to, you know, to because I look at Facebook and there's some people there that put out their struggles as they're going through them, and I think I could never do that.
Yeah. Sometimes you cringe reading it.
No,
Like,
I cringe.
who needs to see? Yeah.
It's fun,
Yeah.
you know. And I admire that strength. I admire the strength of opening up your world to people when you're going through your darkest and deepest times. Because I have them, and there's so many. And I feel like, you know, because of, you know, having achieved what I've achieved, I think people can learn so much from my dark times.
100%.
So much from my scars, so much from my setbacks, so much from my failures. I've had a lot of failures, you know. But the thing is, people don't see them because I don't show them to people. I'm not vulnerable. And it's like, how do I say it? Okay, so I've gotten my master's. Do I tell them that 6 months ago I failed it? Like, how do I, you know?
Yeah.
Like, where does this fit into this perfect picture that I've put on my Instagram? Where do I say, okay, but this day I failed the test? Like, how do I, you know? So I think if I can learn how to be vulnerable, I think it would be better for the impact that I want to make in the world, and also just to be more relatable to a lot of people around me, because they just think that when everything just comes to you, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
And they forget to see the human side of me because I don't show it enough. So I think that's my biggest fear and imperfection.
Are you scared of not using up everything that God has put in you?
That's also the lingering
Yeah,
fear.
it's there, right? Like, maybe you could be doing more. Maybe he expects you to
The
be doing
burden
more.
of ambition.
Yeah. You heard about this, yeah.
Ambition.
Yeah.
You know, that's the main one.
Yeah.
That's default, actually. That you even forget it's there.
Yeah.
It's a latent fear.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just there, you know. So yeah, I do have that burden of ambition of wanting to do too much. And I think I always have to try and scale myself back and saying, okay, wait, you're only 25. It's okay. It's okay to just Paula, you know. I always have that fear of I'm not doing enough. I could be doing more. There's somebody out there who's probably working 2 hours more than you are.
Yeah, you should have
know,
been in the office.
yeah,
You left at
exactly.
6. I do that to myself. I'm like, but it's one of those things. It just
You know
is.
what I'm saying? It's the burden of ambition. You know, you always just want to take it to the next level.
And how have your friendships been since you came back? And I'm asking this because you get those people who be like, yo, solo ka buya America. You get those people like, ever since she came back from the States, I don't know, she's just different, hey?
Yeah.
Like, before, like, her and I could, like, talk,
Okay,
hey?
okay.
But you're not the same person who left.
not.
I mean, not every relationship is just gonna come back and fit the way it was before. How are you managing with friendship?
I think I'm very blessed you know, with the friends that I picked. I have a very small circle of friends, right? And throughout my journey in the States, they went through it with me in a way. You know, I have those friends that, they were like there, they weren't quite there, you know. And it's okay, you know. Some of those friendships, like, they fizzle out, and it's okay. You saw that they were going to fizzle out from day one. But I have those friends, man, my ride or dies, that went through the journey of growth with me. Like, we were Skyping each other. We were, like, they went through it with me, you know. So I've come back, and it's just been even better because it's like we can see each other more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't have the case of friendships that actually were a bit, you know, weird. The people that
This is Trans Africa Radio.